The girl in ice, the wind howled across the frozen land. Snow covered everything, like a thick white blanket. It was the coldest place on Earth, the Arctic, here. A team of scientists was digging through the ice. They were looking for old fossils. Maybe hidden life from the past, but what they found was not from the past. And maybe not even from this world. Dr. Karen Lee was the lead scientist. She saw something unusual deep in the ice. It wasn't rock, it wasn't bone. It looked like a hand, a human hand, but that was impossible. This ice was more than 10,000 years old. Keep digging, Karen said. Her voice calm but curious. The team used heat drills carefully. Slowly, the shape became clearer. It was a girl. She was frozen solid, trapped in the ice like a statue. Her skin was pale, almost blue. Her hair floated around her like frozen silk, and in her hand there was something strange, a small note. Yellowed with age but not damaged, the note had only 2 words, written in perfect English. Warm me? The team stared in silence. Who was she? How did she get here? And how could a note survive in the ice for thousands of years? More shocking, how did she know English? They moved the frozen girl into a sealed chamber. Temperature controlled, light soft, machines scanned her body. She looked like a teenage girl. Maybe 17 or 18, but her body told a different story. Her cells were not dying, not frozen completely. Somehow, she was barely alive. This is not a normal human, said Dr. Rafiq, the biologist. Her DNA is 90% human, but the rest is Perest. Is unknown. The team was now scared and excited. They had never seen anything like this, a living being, human-like, found in ancient ice. And she held a note asking to be warmed. What if she was a message? A warning? Or worse, a weapon? Karen decided to start the thawing process slowly. They raised the temperature by 1 degree every hour. They watched the monitors. Her heartbeat was slow, but there, her brain showed activity, like someone dreaming. They called her Ira. It meant snow in old languages. No one knew her real name. News of the discovery was kept secret. The world was not ready, Karen thought. They had to learn more first. What if others were out there? What if this girl was running from something? 2 days passed. Then something happened. Her eyes moved under her eyelids. Her fingers twitched slightly. Then she opened her eyes. The room went silent. Karen stepped forward slowly. Hello, she said. Can you understand me? Girl looked around, confused, scared. She sat up slowly, her body still shaking from the cold. She didn't speak at first, just stared at her hands. Then at the team. Then, in a soft voice, she said one sentence, "Don't let them find me." Karen froze. Who? Who is looking for you? She asked, but the girl closed her eyes again. Too weak to speak more, her body trembled, and her skin was warm now. She had survived, but she was afraid. Who was she afraid of? The note still sat on the table. Warm me. Was it a request? Or a test? Outside, the snowstorm grew stronger, but inside, that small lab, something even more powerful had started. A mystery too big for one team. A secret that could change everything humans knew about life in the universe. The frozen girl was no longer just a discovery. She was the start of something much bigger, something that would test all of humanity. Karen looked at the monitors. They blinked red, a new alert. Something was moving in the sky. Something that did not belong to Earth, and it was coming closer. Asterisk, the girl lay still in the medical bed. Her breathing was slow, her skin pale. Machines beeped softly, showing signs of life, but her mind, her thoughts were a mystery. The team waited, watching her closely. They didn't know what she would do next, or if she would even wake again. Dr. Karen Lee sat beside her. She had spent the night reviewing scans. This girl, Ira, had human features, but her blood carried strange patterns. Her cells could survive extreme cold. Her brainwaves were faster than anything seen before, and deep in her tissue. Something was hidden, a metal-like structure, fused with her bones. Was it alien technology, or part of her body? The question remained, was Ira a person, a weapon, or both? Suddenly, her eyes opened again. They were bright, almost glowing like stars caught in ice. She turned her head slowly, scanning the room. She saw Karen and the other scientists. But she did not look scared this time. She looked curious. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice soft but clear. Karen leaned forward gently. "You're safe," she said. "You're on Earth, in a research station." Ira blinked, thinking Earth, she whispered, as if testing the word. Then she looked at her own hands. She opened and closed her fingers, feeling every movement. "I made it," she said, more to herself than to anyone else. Karen asked carefully, "What's your name?" The girl hesitated, then spoke. "I was called Ira9, but I like just Ira. What does the 9 mean?" asked Dr. Rafiq, stepping forward. Ira looked down, her voice turning quiet. "I was the 9th attempt." Everyone in the room fell silent. Ira continued, "I was made, not born. I am a test, an experiment to survive cold worlds. They created me far from here, but I escaped." Karen's heart beat faster. "Who created you?" she asked. Ira's eyes filled with sadness. "They call themselves the architects. They are not human, not like you. They use beings like me to test planets. Some are hot, some are frozen. I survived longer than the others, that's why they want me back." The team exchanged nervous glances. "Are they coming?" Karen asked. Ira nodded slowly. "They follow signals," she said. "When I entered your atmosphere, I stopped transmitting. But they will notice soon." Outside, snowflakes danced against the window. But inside, tension filled the air. Karen leaned closer. "Why did you ask to be warmed?" Ira looked at her, eyes soft, "Because without warmth, I would sleep forever, not just my body," she said, touching her chest. "My mind, my memories. Warmth is life to me." Then she said something that surprised them all. "I learned your language through a dream. Someone whispered it to me while I slept in the ice. It felt human, but I don't know who it was." Karen was stunned. Was someone or something helping her in the ice? Was Earth connected to Ira in a deeper way? Suddenly, the power flickered. Screens blinked. Alarms buzzed. Dr. Rafiq rushed to the console. "There's a signal from orbit," he said, voice shaking. "It's not a satellite." Karen moved to the screen, her hands cold. The signal was strange, rhythmic, like tapping. Then it stopped. A message appeared on the screen. Just one word. "Return." Ira saw it and sat up quickly. "No," she said. "It's too soon. They found me. I haven't had enough time." "Time for what?" Karen asked. Ira looked at her with a mix of fear and hope. "To become human," she said, fully. Outside, the storm began to fade, but above Earth, something had awakened, something old and searching. The girl from the ice had spoken, and now the universe was listening. It began with a signal, not loud, not bright, just a soft pulse picked up by an old satellite over the Indian Ocean. It repeated every 23 seconds, a rhythm too perfect to be natural, too intelligent to be ignored in a quiet lab in Tokyo. An engineer named Ayaka noticed it first. She thought it was a system error. But the signal came again the next day, stronger, clearer. It carried a single word, buried in static and light, Aryan at the same time. Deep beneath the Arctic snow, Ira sat in silence. She had seen the message on the screen, her eyes wide, her breath quick. "They're close," she whispered. "They've started calling me again." Karen and the other scientists surrounded her. "Who are they?" Karen asked softly. "The ones who made me," Ira replied. The architects. They don't speak like you do. They speak in energy, in code, and now. They're here, all over the world. Satellites picked up similar signals. Beams of light bounced between stars and machines. Observatories watched as strange shapes appeared in the sky. Small, dark, silent, just outside Earth's orbit, like shadows waiting in space. The world governments tried to keep it quiet, but you cannot hide the stars. Soon the public found out. News stations screamed headlines, aliens in orbit. Social media flooded with theories, fear, and excitement. Some people thought it was the end. Others thought it was the beginning of something greater. Back in the research station, Ira felt the change. Her body reacted to the signal. Her skin glowed slightly under the lab lights. She pressed her hand to the glass window, looking at the stars above. They are watching, she said. But they won't attack yet. They wait to see what you do. Karen turned to her team. What do they want? They want me. Ira said, they want to know if I lived, if I became. More than an experiment, and if we refuse to give you back. Rafik asked. Ira looked at him with calm eyes. Then they will test you too. The UN held emergency meetings. Leaders from every continent sat in cold rooms, arguing over a single question. Should they hand over the girl from the ice, or protect her and risk war? Some believed she was too dangerous to keep. Others saw her as a miracle, a gift, or perhaps a test from the universe. One group, deep inside a hidden government agency, had another idea. They wanted to use her. To unlock her secrets, build weapons, prepare for invasion. They didn't care what she felt, only what she was made of. But in the Arctic lab, Karen had made her decision. She's not a thing, Karen said. She's a person, and she asked us to warm her. She trusted us. That night, Ira sat alone in the dark. Snow fell quietly outside, covering the land in silence. She thought of the others like her. The ones who didn't survive. She thought of the cold, the ice, the loneliness of space. Then, for the first time, she cried. Not because of pain, but because, for once, someone had chosen her, not as a project, not as a threat, but as someone worth protecting. Suddenly, the power flickered again. A voice came through the intercom, robotic, echoing. Unidentified object entering upper atmosphere. Everyone rushed to the control room. Cameras zoomed into the night sky. There it was. A black, angular shape, silent and smooth. It didn't burn like a meteor. It floated, controlled, intelligent. Then, a beam of soft white light shined down onto the snow. Not a weapon, not an attack, just light searching. Ira stepped forward slowly. She looked at the beam, then at Karen. They are sending a message, she said. They want me to come. Karen grabbed her arm gently. You don't have to go, she said. Ira looked back, a small tear in her eye. I know, she said. But if I stay, they might never leave. Suddenly, the beam turned off. The object rose higher, then disappeared into the clouds. No sound, no fire, just gone. The world held its breath. What would happen next? In that frozen corner of the world, Kay, girl once trapped in ice, had become the center of Earth's biggest decision. She wasn't just a mystery anymore. She was a message, a question sent to all of humanity. What will you do when the universe knocks? Asterisk, the world was no longer silent. Every nation was awake. Every eye turned to the stars. The question was simple. Do we give her back? Or do we protect her? But the answer was not. Ira sat in the center of a storm she never meant to cause. In the Arctic base, soldiers had arrived. Men with cold faces and quiet orders. They said they were there for global security, but Karen could see the truth in their eyes. They were afraid. She's not a weapon. Karen said again. The general looked at her without blinking. Then why does an alien fleet want her? Karen had no answer. Only Ira did, that night. A broadcast went live from the United Nations. The Secretary General stood at the podium behind him. A still image of Ira's frozen face. He spoke slowly, carefully. We have made contact with a being of unknown origin. She is currently under our care. And we are receiving messages from outside Earth asking for her return. People around the globe watched, holding their breath, some with wonder, others with fear. But no. One turned away. The signal was growing stronger each day. And so was the pressure. Inside the base, Ira began to change. Her skin no longer felt cold. Her eyes sparkled like starlight. She walked without weakness now. The ice was gone from her body, but not from her past. Karen noticed something new. Where Ira walked, machines responded, screens turned on by themselves. Doors opened without a touch. Is it telepathy? Rafik asked. No. Ira said gently, it's harmony. She explained her body wasn't just alive, it was connected, built to speak to technology, to adapt to whatever planet she was sent to, and Earth, listening back, then, late. One night, Ira stood under the stars again. She held a small crystal, taken from under her skin. It glowed softly, pulsing with light. Karen joined her outside, shivering in the cold. What is that? She asked. Ira turned to her. It's a key, she said, to stop them. Karen's eyes widened. You mean the architects? Ira nodded, but it won't work unless I'm fully awakened. Emotion unlocks the code. Real. Human emotion, something they never understood. Karen sat beside her, snow crunching beneath her boots. Then we'll help you, she said. We'll protect you, but inside the base, not everyone agreed. A small group of scientists had a different plan. They wanted to use the crystal to reverse engineer it, to give Earth a defense if war began. They tried to take it while Ira slept. But when they touched it, the power surged. A wave of light knocked them back. Machines shut down. Alarms screamed. Ira woke up in tears, clutching her chest. You can't steal what was given. She said softly, you have to feel it. After that, Karen locked the crystal away. She knew now this was not a science project. It was a choice, not just for Ira, but for all of Earth. Outside, more ships appeared in the sky. Still, silent, still watching, a global vote was called. For the first time in history, every country cast a ballot on one question. Do we return the girl or defend her as one of us? The world waited. The final result was broadcast live. The answer came slowly. One word glowing on every screen. PROTCTs erupted. Tears fell and fear remained. But the choice was made. Earth would stand with the girl from the ice. Ira stood. In the center of the lab, as the crystal was returned to her, she placed it near her heart, and it disappeared into her skin. A pulse echoed through the air, not loud, but strong. Machines rebooted. Lights shimmered. Something was changing. They'll come now. She said, not to ask, but to take. Karen nodded. Then we'll be ready, in secret locations. Nations shared technology. Old enemies became allies. Scientists worked day and night, following IRA's guidance. They built the first shield system, a defense that ran on her knowledge and Earth's spirit. One cold morning, the sky opened. A large ship, different from the others, entered. The atmosphere? No beam, no signal, just presence. It hovered, silent. Like a question waiting to be answered. Ira stepped forward. Her heart now warm, her will unshaken. They will test your courage, she said. But they've never faced your humanity. And for the first time in human history, Earth stood together, not as separate nations, but as one voice, one heart, one answer. A soft hum filled the control room. Screens glowed with strange symbols. Numbers moved like waves across every monitor, but no one could understand them except her. Ira stood in the center of the lab, still and focused. She wasn't speaking. But something was speaking through her. Her eyes flickered with pulses of blue light. Her fingers moved slightly, as if touching invisible keys in the air. The machines responded to her thoughts. They weren't programmed to. They just did. Doctor. Karen watched from behind a glass panel. She was no longer just a scientist. She was a witness to something far greater. Ira wasn't just reacting to Earth's technology. She was becoming part of it. What is she doing? Someone whispered. Rafik answered quietly. She's unlocking it. Unlocking what? The code. Ira opened her eyes. I found the pattern, she said. Voice calm but tired. They left it inside me, not to help me, but to control me. But I broke it. Karen stepped closer. What kind of pattern? Turned to her a command string. She replied, a back door. They could shut me down any time, like pressing a button. But when you warmed me, it changed. Her voice shook slightly. When you cared for me, when you protected me, something inside rewrote itself. The control code is still there, but now it obeys me. Karen's eyes widened. You mean you can stop them? Ira nodded. If I finish decoding it, she said. I can send a pulse through their ships. It will disable their systems, but it must come from Earth. Through your network with my mind connected. But there's a cost, she added quietly, if I do it. I might not survive. The room fell silent. Karen stepped forward. There has to be another way. Ira looked away, her voice soft. I was made to survive cold. I was never meant to feel. But now I do. That evening, the base was quiet. Snow fell like ash from the sky. Inside, Ira sat with a young technician named Leo. He had been kind to her since the beginning. He showed her pictures of his family, of trees, oceans, music, sunsets, things she had never seen but now dreamed about. He handed her a warm cup of tea. She didn't need it, but she held it close. Why do humans hold things even when they don't need them? She asked. Leo smiled, because it reminds us we're alive. Ira looked down at the cup. Is that what this is? She asked, touching her chest. This ache inside me. Leo nodded. Yeah, he said. That's called a heart. That night, she returned to the lab. She stood in front of the central console. Karen and the team were ready. They had connected the satellites, powered the relays if Ira chose to send the signal. The pulse would reach the alien fleet in seconds. Karen stepped forward. You don't have to do this, she said. Ira smiled gently. Yes, I do. She placed her hand on the panel. It lit up instantly. Her eyes closed. Her body lifted slightly above the ground. Streams of light flowed around her like ribbons of energy. The screens went black, then flashed one word. WARMTH. The code had changed. No longer cold, no longer controlled. It responded not to fear, but to feeling, not to commands, but to care. From orbit, the alien ships reacted. They powered up, ready to strike, but before they could fire, a wave of light moved through space. Not a laser, not a weapon, just a pulse sent from Earth. Born from Ira's heart. One by one, the ships went dark. Engines failed. Weapons shut down. They didn't crash. They floated, silent, powerless. The architects had lost their control. In the lab, Ira collapsed. Karen rushed to her side. Ira, she whispered. Stay with me. Ira opened her eyes slowly. Did it work? She asked. Karen smiled through tears. Yes, you stopped them. Ira's lips curved into a soft smile. Then I became more than I was made to be. I became human enough. Her eyes closed, her body still. But the machines still glowed around her, as if her presence had left something behind. Not just a code, not just a defense, but a part of herself. A piece of warmth in the coldest place on Earth. Asterisk, the world thought it was over. After Ira's pulse shut down the alien fleet, there was silence. No more signals. No more movement in the sky. People returned to work, smiled again, called it a miracle, but deep underground. In military bases and research labs, the experts were not celebrating. They were watching, waiting, fearing, because in space, silence is never peace. It's the breath before the scream. 3 days passed, then the sky lit up again. Not with stars, but with fire. A massive object entered Earth's orbit. Larger than anything before. It didn't hide, it didn't scan, it didn't ask. It simply arrived from every screen. One face appeared, sharp features, silver skin. Glowing eyes without warmth, the message was short and cold. Return Ira 9, or be erased. Karen stared at the screen. Frozen, she was still beside Ira, who lay resting in the recovery chamber. Her pulse was weak, but steady, the crystal. Near her heart glowed softly. She had saved the world, and now? The world had to decide if it would save her back. The UN met again. Voices were louder this time. Some called her a friend, a hero, a symbol of unity. Others called her a risk, a magnet for destruction. We must hand her over. One leader said, Earth is not ready for war with an alien empire. But one voice changed the room. It came from a refugee camp broadcast in a war-torn country. A child, maybe 9 years old, looked into the camera and said, "She didn't run away from them to destroy us. She ran here to become one of us." The room went silent. The vote was cast, and the answer was clear. We fight for her round. The world defense systems powered up. Satellites linked across nations. Old rivals shared technology. Science fiction became science fact. Because Ira had left behind not just warnings, but knowledge, blueprints, ideas, energy systems far beyond human tech. And now, humanity was using them. They called the program Project Warm Core. A system built on the connection between human emotion and alien code, not powered by oil or electricity, but by heart signals. Brainwaves, human bonds, a new kind of weapon. Not to destroy, but to defend. In the Arctic base, Ira opened her eyes again. She was weak, pale, but aware. She saw the soldiers, the scientists, the doctors, and then she saw Karen. "You stayed," Ira whispered. Karen held her hand. "Of course I did," she said. "You stayed for us." 2 alarms blared across the base. The architect mothership was moving, slowly, steadily, like a god descending. It sent small drones into the atmosphere. Black machines with glowing red lights. They didn't fire. Not yet. They circled like vultures. Watching, Ira stood with effort. "I have one more gift," she said, "but I cannot give it alone. I need someone human." Connected to me, Leo stepped forward without hesitation. The same young technician who once gave her tea. He looked nervous but sure. "I'll do it," he said. "She's my friend." Ira touched his forehead. A soft light spread between them. The machines reacted instantly to hearts. One alien, one human, became one signal. The defense grid lit up across the sky. A dome of light wrapped around Earth like a warm blanket, and then the enemy attacked. Hundreds of drones rained down from the sky, but they hit the shield and vanished like sparks. The architect ship fired a beam of focused energy, but it bent, twisted, disappeared into nothing. Earth didn't fight back with missiles or metal. It fought back with meaning, with connection, courage, and sacrifice. The mothership paused, confused. This was not in its logic. This was not part of its design. Inside the Arctic base, Ira and Leo collapsed. Their energy drained, but the shield held, and then something strange happened. The architect ship turned away. It left orbit, not defeated, but humbled. For the first time in its long existence, it met a species it could not control. Not because of power, but because of love. Back on Earth, people gathered in cities. They didn't cheer or shout. They simply stood under the stars, holding candles, not in fear, but in respect. In the lab, Karen sat beside Ira once more. "You're safe now," she whispered. Ira opened her eyes and smiled. "No," she said softly. "We are." The sky was quiet now. No ships, no signals, no threats, just stars. Stars that once watched Earth with cold curiosity, now shining on a world that had chosen something different. Not fear, not surrender, but love. Weeks passed after the war that never became a war. Repairs began, systems were restored. But something deeper had changed, in people, in nations, in hearts. For the first time in history, humanity had faced something greater than itself, and instead of falling apart, it came together in a medical bay under the Arctic snow. Ira slept peacefully, her body healing slowly, her mind resting after carrying the weight of two worlds. Beside her, Karen waited day after day, reading books aloud, holding her hand, and telling her stories about sunsets, oceans, music, and spring. One morning, the sun rose higher than usual, and Ira opened her eyes again, not in fear, not in confusion, but with a calm smile. "Did they leave?" she asked softly. Karen nodded. "They're gone." Ira sat up slowly. Her strength had returned. But something had changed in her eyes. Not just intelligence, but emotion. She touched her chest, over the place where the crystal once pulsed. "It's quiet now," she said, "but I still feel it." Karen smiled. "That's called memory." Outside the lab, people had gathered, not just soldiers and scientists, but musicians, writers, farmers, children. They had come from across the world to see the girl who helped save it. Not because she was powerful, but because she reminded them of something they had forgotten. Compassion, connection, choice. A monument had been built nearby, simple white stone carved with one sentence, the same words Ira held in her hand the day she was found. "Warm me?" Beside it, a plaque read, "She came frozen, but left us warmer." Ira walked out into the snow for the first time without shaking. The wind touched her skin like an old friend. She looked around at the people, the flags, the smiles, and for a moment, she felt something strange. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Karen stepped beside her. "Is everything okay?" she asked. Ira laughed softly. "Yes," she said. "I think I just felt proud." Karen nodded. "That's very human." Reporters asked what would happen next. Would she stay? Would she teach? Would she lead? Ira simply said, "I just want to live. To learn what it means to walk through a city, to eat ice cream, to laugh at something silly. I was made to survive," she added. "But now, I want to exist." Governments offered her medals. Scientists begged for interviews. But Ira declined them all. Instead, she chose to visit small places, schools, libraries, parks, not as a guest of honor, but as someone trying to understand what it meant to belong. She listened to music with Leo. She painted pictures with children. She planted flowers in frozen soil and watched them grow. Everywhere she went, she asked the same question. "What do you love about being human?" The answers were never the same, but every one made her smile. One day, a young girl asked her, "Do you miss space?" Ira thought for a moment, then shook her head. "No," she said. "Space is cold, empty, and endless. But Earth? Earth is messy, noisy, and beautiful. It's full of pain, but also full of stories. And stories are warm." Months later, Ira stood in a museum where the first note was kept. It was placed in a glass case, lit softly. Tourists came to see it. Some smiled, some cried. Ira stood quietly, watching. Karen joined her and said, "You started all this with 2 words." Ira turned to her. "No," she replied. "You did. You answered them," as they walked outside. The snow began to fall again, soft and light, but this time It didn't feel cold. It felt like a memory, a reminder of where things began and how far one choice could go. The stars above continued their quiet watching, but they no longer looked down on a silent world. Now they looked at a planet that had chosen to care, that had chosen to protect someone, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And in the heart of it all, the girl who once asked for warmth had become a symbol of what it meant to be human, not perfect, not pure, but enough, human enough.